Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. And we are now joined by our clinical and certified, I should say, hypnotherapist, Tracy Clairmont. Excited to have her here. She's also a life coach, and we're going to talk today about all the benefits of hypnosis and, of course, how she can help you with hypnotherapy. Now, also want to point out, her website right now is in the process of being developed. So how can we reach you to start if we have questions?
Oh, if you have questions, I can be reached at Hypno with Tracy at yahoo.com. That's HYPNOWITHPRACY at yahoo.com.
Perfect. Well, welcome to the show. Please tell us a little bit
you.
about yourself and where are you from?
I am from Western Montana. I, as you said, am a certified hypnotherapist and also a life coach. I also have 25 years experience as a mental health therapist.
Wow.
And I have been doing hypnotherapy for the last 5 years. And I have an office here in Ronan, Montana, a very rural area. Beautiful.
And could I ask, do you work just in person or you do virtual work as well?
I have full understanding that not everybody can make it to Western Montana as much as I would invite people to this beautiful place. So I do Zoom.
Fantastic.
Sessions, yeah.
All right. So let's start off with, what really is hypnotherapy? Would you mind sharing a little bit about what it is specifically and how it could help transform us?
Yes, I love hypnotherapy because it is a process of putting a person into a deep, guided state of relaxation where once you're in that state of relaxation, we're able to access the subconscious mind and do healing within the subconscious mind, those memories, experiences, and feel the emotion attached to those experiences. And as I said, I've been a mental health therapist, a licensed mental health therapist for 25 years. And I've done years and years of work in the conscious mind. And I really appreciate this new experience of working in the subconscious mind because it allows us to do more immediate, impactful healing that is, it has a faster kind of effectiveness to it. You don't have to work to get through all those conscious mind blocks like you do in regular psychotherapy. So I really do love working in the subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind is really 88 to 90% of our mind power. It is what it holds every memory that we've ever had of every experience and the emotion attached to it. And it really is what is driving the bus in regard to our perception and how we experience our life as we move through our days. So it really is, in my opinion, the perfect place to do the healing.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's exciting to have you here. For real. It's first time together here on our Zoom, and also want to talk more, about how it works, why it works, and then some misconceptions about it. But there's hundreds of things that hypnotherapy can help with, right?
Oh, absolutely. I like to say that um, it's just an endless amount of things that it can impact. Again, it goes back into our memories, our experiences, and the emotion attached to those experiences. And there's an endless number of different experiences that we have in our lives.
And so anything from chronic pain, what about stress and anxiety? Just want to ask you because so many people, before the pandemic, now especially after the pandemic, have you seen an increase in this? And could hypnotherapy help someone who has these over anxious and stressful feelings and thoughts each and every day?
Yes, absolutely. I have seen a huge rise, and I think I can speak, I think, on behalf of mental health therapists everywhere that we've seen a huge rise in anxiety since the pandemic. And it makes good sense that would happen. You know, a lot of people carry around a lot of anxiety prior to the pandemic and kind of operate on uh, activated nervous system. Well, then the pandemic came, and we were presented with a situation where, we were in fear literally for our lives if we stepped out the door. Our nervous systems were on fire all the
Mhm.
time, worried about our loved ones, worried about ourselves, worried about our children, trying to make decisions around vaccinations or no vaccinations, and understanding like when is this going to stop, and being enclosed in environments, afraid to go out into our environments. So that put even the most calm nervous system into an activated state.
Mhm.
People already kind of walk around with an activated nervous system. And then, you can imagine what the pandemic did to those people. So coming out of the pandemic, there's so much stress and anxiety that people are experiencing, and just re-entering the world that was extremely unsafe for all of us for an extended period of time.
Got it. And I've heard about hypnotherapy helping those maybe stop smoking, losing weight. Are these some common things that you work on as well?
Yes, those are very common things. Again, we are able to go back to the originating core experience that set those kind of feelings that generate those behaviors. Those are habits that have been developed based on emotions, and they're behaviors that come out of emotion. So in hypnotherapy, we can go back to those precipitating core events, or the precipitating core event that put that habit into motion, and then do healing around that. And then also, um, the client is uh, also provided suggestions that are like replacement suggestions for more positive behaviors that serve their interests better, that help
Hmm.
carry them through so that they can sustain the change in whatever habit they're wishing to not have anymore.
Oh my goodness. Well, let me ask you, it also takes the accountability and the commitment on their part, right? But normally, how many sessions does somebody need to, is it vary for each and everything you come for? But on average, I mean, could something be cured, or not the word cured, solved, resolved within one session?
Yeah, it can be solved, resolved, healed. I like to use the word healed, because it really is guided healing with the person doing their own healing, through my guidance. So yes, a person can heal their emotional issue in one session. And if they feel like there's more work to be done and they'd like to come back for another session, then that's certainly available and open to them. But a lot of times people will do the one session, and I send people with a recording, for them to do self hypnosis with and listen to the positive suggestions. And I ask that to be done for a period of 21 days, because the mind learns
Yeah.
through repetition, right?
Hmm.
Repetition, repetition, repetition.
So
So
true.
listening to that for at least 21 days helps solidify the healing and keep the person moving forward in that manner.
Great. Well, also, let's walk through it. Could you give us an example of how a session goes and kind of explain it to us?
Yeah. Uh, Actually, I can give an example of my own experience
Sure.
in hypnotherapy and in healing. When I was in training, we exchanged sessions a lot, and we did demonstrations with our trainer. I was trained by Mark Johnson, but I did a demonstration where I was the client, and he asked me what is it that I would like to experience differently, and I told him that I would like to not have a fear of public speaking anymore.
Hmm.
And just to give you a brief background,
Please.
was such a shy, bashful child from the get-go. I hid behind my dad's legs. My mom had to force me to go to kindergarten, my poor
Mm.
mother. And even in first grade, I had this beautiful teacher who was super patient with my anxiety and my bashfulness. And my shyness, and she let me stay underneath my desk
Mm-hmm.
during class. So, you know, and that's how I was. I was just so shy and so bashful. And I became more comfortable with school as I went on. And I did go to college. I got my master's degree.
Wow.
And then I came back home and I started my career. And in my career, I found that I was really comfortable doing the behind the scenes work. And my superiors, they really liked having me work for them because I really helped them build programs and I helped them to look good. Although, I mean, they were skilled in their own right, but I supported them and I helped them to look good. And I never wanted credit or recognition. I didn't want to be in front of people, even though I was placed in those positions periodically. But I just wasn't comfortable with it. So in my hypnotherapy, I said, I want to be cured of my fear of public speaking. And I remember my conscious brain thought I had this all figured out. So I believed it was going to take me back to first grade when I was hiding under my desk. And also in the first grade, I had an accident when I was playing and I had fallen and I cracked my head open all the way across my hairline. And then the next day I went to school with this big bandage wrapped around my head. And it was class picture day.
Mm-hmm.
So I was
Aw.
sitting with my legs crossed in the front row, giant bandage around my head,
Mm,
embarrassed, feeling
mm,
exposed, all those things. I thought that's where my conscious mind said, oh, I know what this is about. It's going to go
yeah.
back to there. So Mark, he took me back into he helped me reach a very relaxed state through an induction. Once I got there, he brought the feelings associated with my fear of public speaking to the surface. And then he brought me back into scenes in my subconscious mind that were directly related to that. And he brought me all the way back to a scene, the core event, um, the very first experience that set this fear of public speaking into motion. And I was 1.5 years old, and I was in a hospital bed,
Ah.
and my mom was there with me, and um, she was there after I'd had surgery. Back then, they didn't let parents stay in the hospital with their kids. So I had this internal clock, and every night when it got time when my mom had to leave me there, I would get upset. I'd start to cry for her. I'd,
Ah.
start to, in my little baby way, try to get her to stay. And my mom, who's beautiful and kind and loving, would do her best to stay strong and support me and, reassure me, but she ultimately would have to leave. And in this scene, Mark had asked me what I was needing. And I told him, I need my mom. I need to leave with my mom. And he asked me about my thoughts and my feelings in that moment. And I told him, I want to be invisible. I want to be invisible so I can get past these nurses, even though they were nice nurses. I didn't want them. I wanted to leave with my mom. I wanted to be invisible, get past these
Mm-hmm.
nurses, go home with my
Aw.
mom. And and then he helped me do healing around that. And what he did with me was he had adult Tracy go to 1.5-year-old Tracy and give her what she was needing in that moment, and then take her out of that scene and take her home with me. And then he integrated 1.5-year-old Tracy back into adult Tracy, and he did, the healing that that's not me. I'm not 1.5 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to be invisible anymore. I can be seen now. It's safe to be seen.
Wow.
He did those kind of suggestions with
Mm.
me, and then he integrated 1.5-year-old Tracy back into adult Tracy because, it's important to do the integration because we are one, that's the child I carry around with me. And after that, I just developed a sense of calm around being seen. And I can honestly say, without that hypnotherapy, I don't think I would be sitting here doing a podcast with you or with anybody, right?
Wow.
That would have been a situation that I would have made excuses around, right?
You would never know. Tracy, you're so well spoken from the moment you came on and I got to talk to you to say hello. You would never know there was a fear of anything. This is
Oh,
amazing.
wow.
I commend you on telling the story and thank you for, telling us this because it's not easy. But the fact that you were held by your own modality is just amazing. You would never know. Your
Oh, well,
secret's safe
thank
with
you.
me and now millions of people. But
And the world, thank
really,
you.
no, I appreciate you sharing that. That just goes to show how powerful this is and how someone else in your shoes, in your situation, or it
Mm.
was something different, it could really be helped. Wow.
Yes. Yeah, that definitely is my experience. I likely would have made excuses about being too busy or I don't do podcasts. I don't know. I mean, I would have come up with a whole list of reasons why I wouldn't be able to do this if
Mhm.
had I not had that cleared out, that emotion that was driving my bus at the time. And now I have much better self-serving, healthier suggestions that lead my perceptions and ease my way. And that's what I do with people all the time. It's such a beautiful experience, and I'm so thankful to have the opportunity to be that guide for people's healing. It's really incredible. I'm always amazed.
Oh, well, please remind us how we can reach you. Give us all forms of contact, kind of like a little break here.
Yep. Again, my website is being developed, and I will have that information at some point. My best way of getting in touch with me is through my website, Hypno with Tracy at Yahoo. Not my website, sorry, my email, Hypno with Tracy at yahoo.com. So hypno with Tracy at yahoo.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Now,
Mhm.
also, there's still so much more to the work you do. Do you want to continue talking in regards to the hypnotherapy you do? Did you want to switch over to life coaching at whatever you are ready for?
Mm. Yeah, I can just briefly touch on the life coaching. Um, I can speak on behalf of the life coaching in my way. A lot of life coaching experiences, they're great experiences. They're very goal oriented, achievement based, performance enhancement based, and I'm a much kind of softer place to be in regard to life coaching. I do more lifestyle coaching with the intention of, um, you know, bringing about the fullest potential for joy and happiness and fulfillment.
Mm-hmm.
So that is, I always move forward with an intention of unconditional love and acceptance
Mm-hmm.
that I work with, and moving forward through this world with that vibration, because I truly, truly believe that that's how we heal the world. If we could all move through the world with a vibration of unconditional love and acceptance, then there'd be so many things that are healed. So I always, whether I'm doing hypnotherapy or life coaching, that's the intention behind it. And I
Mm-hmm.
really meet people where they are. Um, I like to build a relationship, whether it's long term or brief. I
Mm-hmm.
focus on relationship, helping people feel comfortable and feel safe. Safety is a huge, huge thing in my practice. I always want people to feel safe so that their nervous systems can be nice and calm when they're working on themselves. And that's a calm body is the most conducive to healing and processing and setting goals and setting your own intention. So I really try to present that kind of safe environment, and whatever the client comes forward with in the life coaching is what we talk about and work through. And the life coaching, it can be as many sessions as a person wants to have. It can be one or it can be 20, whatever they're interested in doing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm open to. And that's for life coaching. It's the same contact, the hypno with Tracy at yahoo.com.
Perfect. Oh my goodness. And we still have a few minutes left. Can I just ask you the difference? I mean, some people talk about life coach, some people say mental health counseling, but between a mental health counselor and a coach, could you just verify some of the things that a life coach can help with and how that differs? Because it could be confusing to some people.
Right. So with um, mental health therapy is intended to work with people who have mental illnesses, diagnosable mental illnesses, and there's recommended interventions that are used. There's in my work as a mental health therapist, I do lots of trauma work, processing of trauma, and helping with coping skills and whatnot. And in life coaching, again, it's a different level of talking with people, right? We're not processing trauma. We're not, we can look at patterns and behaviors that are either serving you or not serving you, but it's not going to be an in-depth dive into the depths of your trauma and whatnot. If you want to do that, then I would recommend the hypnotherapy, right? Where we really get to the root causes of those emotions and those feelings. So it
Mm-hmm.
depends on which
Yeah.
level you kind of want to be at. Maybe you'd start with life coaching and then decide you want to dive into those deeper core experiences and moments in the hypnotherapy. But I really see it as again, just supporting a person in
Mm-hmm.
their fullest potential for joy and happiness and fulfillment, and taking a taking a look at some of those barriers. And we probably would look at
Yeah.
some beliefs that you might have that are limiting to you. Um, yeah, and the life coaching as well. It
Perfect.
might be better stated as lifestyle coaching.
I like that. Mm-hmm.
Uh,
I get it. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you again, Tracy Clairmont. Reminding you can reach out to her. And by the way, you're Montana, but you work with people all over the world, right?
I do via Zoom. Yep.
I was going to say there's no stipulation to where you have to be. This is worldwide. I mean, the work you're doing. And just before we go, do you want to share maybe a story of a client, something that you've helped, besides yourself, which is amazing, but another story about some of the benefits maybe of hypnotherapy or of life coaching?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, gosh, I've helped lots of people. I'll just choose one off the top of my head. So I was working with a client who had issues with eating. She needed to lose some weight, but she had her metabolism was all out of whack because she couldn't get herself to
Mm-hmm.
eat until the evening, and then she'd eat too much, and it was causing a real issue. But she really had this aversity to eating. So we went in hypnotherapy
Wow.
vaccines, and we went to the core precipitating event that created that. And it was actually an awful scene where she was a child and she was being abused around food and made to eat food that was rotten. And it was just a really, really awful traumatic scene. And we looked at
Mm-hmm.
the thoughts, the beliefs that were created from that scene, from that situation.
Yeah.
And then we did the healing around that. And then we put in the positive suggestions that allowed her to um, not have fear around food and be able to eat 3 times a day and make good food choices.
Wow.
And she she was able, and this was one hypnotherapy session, she was able to then work with a nutritionist and start eating 3 times a day. And from increasing her eating healthier, eating at the right times, she was able to lose, I think she lost 80 pounds,
Wow.
became much healthier, and her whole relationship with food changed because the feeling and the emotion related to a, a food experience was healed in that hypnotherapy session.
Amazing. Well, thank you for sharing that. Also very helpful to know. Reach out. Do you offer an initial a free consult in a sense or discovery call? Do we call it, Tracy?
Yeah,
What's
definitely in an email for
mhm.
sure. And then if you're interested in the hypnotherapy, I do schedule a session prior to the hypnotherapy just so I can get a real good understanding of what it is you'd like to experience differently. And then also I can do kind of preparation around the hypnotherapy, answer any questions, relieve
Mhm.
any concerns that people have, those myths that you referred to earlier, some of those fears, relieve those fears, and then also just make sure that you're set up for a hypnotherapy session, like the technical kind of things that are required. So that's about 30 minutes to an hour session prior to the hypnotherapy, and a hypnotherapy session usually takes 2 hours.
Great.
With the life coaching, it's just an email saying that that's what you're interested, and we just start right away. I can do that in phone calls or over Zoom, whatever you prefer.
Great. Thank you so much. Looking forward to the next time we connect, Tracy. Thank you so much. Enjoy.
Yeah.
What's the weather there, Montana, by the way?
It was snowing a little bit this morning. It is chilly, chilly, chilly.
Wow. Chilly in New York. We only got some snow the other day for the first time, a few inches. It was really nothing, but we're looking forward to it. March is here. I hope we get some. Well, pleasure speaking with you again. Have a fantastic day.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.